Brady,
What's up?
what's
How you?
going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's nice. Today's Friday, yeah. So I got 5 dogs here. So we got our walk, we did our training. They're quiet, taking a nap, so we're settled.
I love it. Where are you located?
Austin, Texas.
Right on. Okay.
Yeah.
The
What
new
about you?
capital of the world. I'm in Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay. I heard good things about Kansas City.
Have you been here?
I haven't,
Yeah, I
but
we need to swap out. I need to get to Austin. Yeah, Kansas City is a surprisingly cool little arts town in the middle. I mean, you get the Midwest and all of that stuff, but it's I mean, we're gonna get the World Cup for Christ's sake. I don't know how that happened, but we're getting the World Cup.
it's pretty dang cool. Yeah.
So wild, so wild. Well, man,
Yeah.
I love what you do, and I think we all secretly wish as pet owners that we could be a dog trainer to
Mhm.
simplify our lives because there's so many things that we try to figure out about these wonderful creatures. So, but my first question to you is, how did you get through the pandemic? How did it affect the way you do the way that you do business and your outlook on life?
Yeah, that was a wild time for everyone, myself included, because yeah, I had just begun my dog training journey back in 2019 was when I was starting to get like ramp it up and add more and more clients that weren't friends and family. And so by 2020, I had some fun things planned to do with different clients, and then that hit. So I pivoted towards Zoom lessons. And at the time, I was offering $25 Zoom lessons, which is a steal now that I think back to the prices that I charge, and what I can help people with. And I got a handful of clients from doing that. And then I pivoted to making online content, so an online program, and I got good at um, click funnels and recording videos and like my speaking and presenting myself. So that's how I spent my time is dog training, virtual lessons, and then learning some more about the video content side of it.
So let's find out how you got into this. Take me back to where you were born and raised and how this became your business and passion.
Yeah, born and raised in San Diego, California. So I am the oldest of six. And growing up, yeah, right, big family, big family. So growing up, we had dogs. We had chocolate labs, German shepherds. My parents even tried breeding them for a little while, and it was a lot of the time just chaotic. Like my parents, I don't know, looking back, I don't know why they did it, because our dogs were basically wild animals that sometimes didn't poop or pee inside the house. They would run away most days. I would get home from school, and uh, my mom would be like, the dogs ran away again, and we would just follow the trash cans with all the trash bags pulled out of them and the baby diapers on the ground. Um, and then growing up, when I got out of the house when I was 18, my family moved to South Carolina, and they gave me the choice. They said you can stay here or you can come with us. And I was like, nah, I'm staying here. I've done my time in the house. I've done my leadership stuff with all the kids. And so I went off on my own. And then when I was 19 or 20, that's when I got my first dog. And I was like, this isn't going to be anything like my family's dogs. I'm going to like love on this guy. I'm going to give him the best food. I'm going to like find the best stuff. I was watching YouTube videos. I was like studying. And it turns out it's not always like how it is on YouTube. And this dude, it didn't matter if I got him the best food. He still had accidents inside. He still chewed on the doors. He still tore up the carpet. Like I can remember times where I came home and there was like I had like an X pen for him, and he was hanging out in there. And I came home and like half the carpet was missing. There was like 4 piles of poop, and it just reeked. And I'm like, oh my gosh! Like I was like hanging out with friends. It was like 10 o'clock at night. This is
Wow.
terrible. Uh,
Wow.
So I hit rock bottom, and I was like, okay, I gotta find something else. I'm a big Tim Ferriss fan, so I was listening to his podcast during this time, and he had on a woman named Susan Garrett, and she started talking about her training and how she gets dogs to focus, and this aspect of playing with games and movement and connection with your dog. And I was like, wow, that sounds like something I want to do, right? It's different from the e-collars, the prong collars, and like those type of thinking. And even growing up, the one dog trainer that we had come to our house, he taught us to go to Home Depot and go get 6 inches of chain. And when your dog was doing something bad, like sniffing the trash, you would jingle it. And if they continued to do it, you would throw it at them. And so, like, that was the dog training I grew up with. I was like, this doesn't feel right. This
Right.
doesn't make me feel good, you know? I don't know if anyone else relates listening to my story, but
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it because I think we're all trying to figure out the right way to do it.
yeah,
Um, so when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
a baseball player.
Okay. So you're a
Yeah,
baseball fan.
yeah, I am. Dodger
Okay.
fan. What about you?
Chicago?
No, not
Or
Chicago, Los Angeles Dodgers.
okay, all right, cool. Yeah. Um, so let me ask you this. Speaking of kind of, baseball and looking up to people, you mentioned some people in podcasts. Who's been a hero for you? Who's been kind of an inspiration for you in your work and just personally?
Truthfully, the biggest one is Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
I just finished Update with Destiny 2 days ago. I'm done his UPWs and I crew. I think you know Dave Albin, the
Yeah.
firewalk.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a friend of mine, so I crew and I help build those firewalks for the UPW. And I've recently partnered up with him to start building firewalks for veterans and for first responders and for children and for single moms. So I've learned a whole bunch from him. And then you got like Tim Ferriss or Ryan Holiday. I keep this coin around with me all the time, um, from like the Daily Stoic. So those are some of my role models.
So yeah, I used to watch, what was that guy's name that was on TV that was a big dog trainer for a while? And he kind of had a fall from grace, and now he's kind of getting back into it. It's kind of a smaller, gray-haired, peppered-haired guy.
Maybe Caesar Milan.
Yeah, Caesar Milan. So I remember I used to really soak in a lot of the things that he would say, like on dog walks, you need to be in front of them, they need to be behind you,
Mm.
you have to be the dominant. There was just all of these things that I've learned over time. So I'm curious, as somebody that's an expert in this, that does this for a living, what's the number one cardinal sin that you see with most everybody all the time that is easily identifiable that you can say this has to change?
Um, I think about it and as I've trained dogs and I've gotten better at it, I've created my own methodology called the Blueprint. And one of the first things I point out to people is you have to drive and do land. And what that means is you have to focus on the things that you want. And I remember I went kayaking, or whitewater rafting with some friends rather. And as we were pulling up, it was raining and there was a bunch of people out there and we're like, okay, well, we're here, we got to go to it. So me and my friends get out the car and we're like talking and it's raining and there's a line and we're like, maybe we shouldn't do this. This looks kind of like scary. The water's rising in the river and it just is cold. And we're sitting there debating leaving. And as we're doing this, the instructor walks over and he goes, "You guys look a little bit nervous. Can I ask what's going on?" And we're like, "Yeah, do you see the water? Like it's raining. Like this looks like terrible conditions. Like it doesn't look safe. What do you think?" And he said, normally or in the past, you would have been right. Like 10 years ago, I think it was around 10 years ago, they changed how they ran their program. So in the past, their instructors would always say, like, watch out for that. Like, don't do that. Like, don't worry. And what those people ended up doing is they ended up hitting the rock and overturning or losing a paddle or something silly, right? And so they figured out that if they were to just tell people what they need to do and direct themselves, they haven't had any accidents, right? So they say aim for the path, hold on tight, stay focused, aim over there, right? And this subtle shift of where focus goes, energy flows is the big takeaway from that. And we went on the ride and it was great. Like no one got hurt. Like it was the best time of our lives. And it was like, oh shoot. So with dog training, I tell owners the same thing. If you're getting into a pattern of saying like, stop jumping, stop barking, stop pulling on the leash, whatever it may be, we have to change our brain to be like, okay, what do I want my dog to do first?
Yeah.
And that's um, typically you got to start thinking a little bit differently. You got to get curious. So If someone knocks on the door and your dog runs to the door and starts barking at the door, you already have the behavior of your dog can run really fast somewhere. So we just need to change where they run to. So if you just practice knocking on the door and your dog runs to their crate, you change the behavior. So it's like you got to start thinking about what you want your dog to do. And then that gets you away from this whole alpha pack mentality. Like, don't get me wrong, growing up, being the oldest, I led with that way. I was really controlling. And if it wasn't my way, I made sure it became my way. I would use physical force to get my siblings to do what I wanted to. And through dog training, I've learned that there's other ways to elegantly guide your pet wherever you want them to go. You just got to have a couple different mindset shifts.
So what is the motivation for you? Every day you wake up and you're helping people deal with their animals and things that are very special to them. It's a big deal. What is that motivation for you to do that?
You know, going through Date with Destiny, we go for my ultimate mission statement. And, my purpose of my life is to love and appreciate the energy that surrounds us and be a beacon that lights the path. So often you see people with like this dog daddy. I don't know if have you heard of dog daddy?
Yeah,
Right? A lot of controversy going around him.
yeah.
And people like Zach George and other PETA and all these other organizations are canceling him and doing everything they can to stop him, right? And what that does to people, if you tell someone no, a lot of the times, I don't know if you're like me, but if someone tells me don't press that red button, you know what I'm probably going to do.
Yeah,
You
right.
too, right?
Uh-huh.
And so my idea is being this beacon of light is not to use these methodologies that we don't want to use on our dogs. Don't use them on people either. Like, let's guide a whole new movement and on what we want to focus on. And people are going to do what people are going to do. You can't stop people. But what you can do is make your light brighter. So that's my driving motivation.
So what's been one of your best success stories? Maybe one of the harder clients, there was breakthrough. What is that success story for you?
You know, there's quite a few, and I could even get wild. I don't know how much time we got, but I worked at a farm animal refuge, and I trained a pig how to paint. And this pig was not in a good place when we started. It took a year, and that was a really really cool moment just to show the power of psychology of animal training, not just dog training. Because my thing is for people, if these methods don't work on a pig, on a horse, on a chicken, like, can you put a prong collar or an e-collar on a chicken and get them to do what you want? Probably not. So it's like, how can you be scientific with this? um so, and then for dogs, right? uh who was a really cool one? you know One of my first clients, um it's wild, right? So I was working for myself during COVID, and I got a call from a dog training facility, a new one that's opening up, and they asked me to come be the head trainer over there. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like, I would love to. So I went over there, interviewed, they hired me. And as we're going about it, we get to know each other a little bit more. And I find out that they like using e-collars. And so we get into a couple tiffs about what I'm willing to do and what they're willing to do. And it came down to, well, if you're not willing to use these things, then we don't want you as a trainer. And I was like, okay, whatever. But during that time, I got one dog there, and this dog didn't like treats, it didn't like toys, it was fearful and reactive. And those are some of the harder dogs to train. Like, if you like food, that's great. If you like toys, it's great. I can work with both of those. The next thing is permission. So just coming in and out of the crate or the kennel, and get engaging with me and just starting to get this balance of what's going on. And I worked with her for about a week and a half before this relationship with the facility terminated. And I kind of went on my own way and went and found my other clients again. And then this person contacted me and they're like, hey, they gave me more lessons with this new trainer they hired. They were terrible. My dog got worse. Like, can you help us again? Because she only responded when she was working with you. And I was like, sure, I'd love to. Right. So I start working with her one-on-one. We go to her house, and we just start teaching this dog they had a bunch of cats, so this dog was reactive towards the cats too. The house was cluttered, and the dog didn't have a clear idea of what it needed to do to be successful, right? So I helped these people kind of clean up their house a little bit, get this dog its own dog area, get the cats its own area, start associating good things to cats. So this dog loved tuna, so we would get like a little party going on with like give some tuna to the dog, give some tuna to the cats, give some tuna to the dog, move around a little bit. And we were able to set up a situation where the dog ended up ultimately thriving. And it was someone that people kind of just wrote off, this dog's crazy. And it's like, no, if you can help declutter these things for them, help organize them, help give them some structure to their life, helps with humans too, a lot of the times. Clean, clean, clean. So that was one of my favorite stories as well.
So what's been some of the best advice you've ever gotten?
You know, life is not always fair. Life is not always fair. And all things come to an end and change. Those are some things that I focus on, because growing up, my parents would always say life isn't fair. And that's true to a certain degree. Like life isn't fair all the time. Like my uncle passed away this year, and it sucked, you know. Sorry, forgive me. I wasn't planning on talking about this,
Oh
but
yeah. Yeah, no, you're good.
but life is fair a lot of the times too. Like if you put in the work and you do the things that matter, like you will get what you put out. And if you look at people like Steph Curry or Michael Jordan, like they're great for a reason. They put in the repetition. So
Yeah.
I try to put in the reps every single day, and tell people with dog training, I'm not like a dog whisperer in any way. Like I just love what I do, and I do a lot of it. And I
Yeah.
see patterns really well now. So like I can see something and be like, this is what needs to switch, because I just looked at so many dogs and different animals too. So it's like, okay, our brains work in specific ways for humans too. Like I study NLP, and our brains are very similar in terms of pattern recognitions and generalizing, distorting, deleting, all that good stuff.
For sure. So of all of the things that you've done and accomplished and become in your life, what are you the proudest of?
Mhm. Um, the proudest, it recently happened. We went to this UPW in Dallas in November, and we built this fire for the fire team, right? And there was 11,000 people that walked over it. It's like a 22-hour day. You show up there, you build these wheelbarrows, you lay out all the sod, you build the fire, and I'm sure Dave gave you some more details about it.
Yeah.
And um and at the end of it, you have your debrief, and there's people called ultimate fire teamers. So these are the people who show up, the leaders on the team, the people who are um they don't necessarily like work the hardest, but they're leaders, so they inspire people, and they're always seen doing something. And at the end of the event, I was awarded the ultimate fire team jacket, which is really cool. And it was really cool just to be like seen and acknowledged in front of this community. That was really important to me. Dave was there. It was really a special event for me.
That's cool. So as a
Yeah.
baseball fan, if you could go back in time and see one game, one moment, where are you going? What would you love to have seen firsthand?
You know, in my recent memory, like if I've talked like my lifetime, the Dodgers have choked a lot of the times. I would kind of like to be at the World Series when they won during COVID. That'd be
Yeah.
super fun.
Yeah.
Uh, just for like my pleasure and fun. But big sports games, what I want to see. I would like to go back to see like Andre Ethier and like Eric Gagne, and like see some of them play. That would have been really cool.
Yeah. You know
Yeah.
what would have been amazing being a Dodgers fan is to be there in '88 when Gibson hit that home run in the World Series.
Yeah, of course.
Man,
That's a huge one.
I mean, that call Vince Scully did on that, I will never forget it because that was a marathon at bat. No one thought he was going to bat. And
Yeah.
just that whole, the camera just shook thunderously. It was amazing. you
Yeah,
know?
he's off the bench, he's injured, like
Yes.
it's insane.
I mean, the guy couldn't even run. He couldn't even hardly walk,
Yeah.
It's
But it
wild.
just shows you the power of mental discipline. Like
Yeah.
it's insane.
Yeah.
And in that moment too.
Well, oh man, I mean, just the whole thing is crazy. Like I've
Yeah.
watched interviews with David Blaine and he blows me away. His mental acuity, the things that he can do is crazy, you
Yeah.
know. So
Have
when
you
no, go ahead.
did you read the story about how he learned how to keep the fish in his stomach?
Yes. Yes.
Insane. He
Yeah, and
spent 3 years finding this guy and then trained with him.
yeah, it was like and he was doing that on Rogan's show one time, and he's just spitting water out. It's like it's just spouting like a cartoon character. The whole thing is insane, and he's just so good at. He was on. Have you ever seen that show called The Hot Ones, where they eat all the hot wings?
Yeah.
Okay, he was
Yeah.
on there. At the very end, he does this trick with the host, Sean, I think,
Mhm.
and it's like I think it was in the middle of like a tomato or something. They pull out a Carolina Reaper and he says, I've been waiting to do this with you. Okay. So Sean's nervous. He's like kind of backpedaling, like, okay, I wasn't mentally ready. And he was like, you don't have to do it. He was like, no, are you kidding? David Blaine's right here. You got the hottest pepper. Let's go. So he bites into it, immediately starts dying. Like he's
Yeah.
just like can't take it. Blaine bites like 3 times bigger than him and has no reaction. No reaction the whole time. It's like, man, that guy's a beast. It's
Yeah.
wild.
It
So
really is.
it's crazy. So
Yeah.
speaking of, that's a good lead in to me asking you this. Everyone has a perception of you,
Mhm.
family, friends, all of your clients, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I, I think I am a leader. I am someone who, if we talk about my elements, I'm a fire element. I'm a Gemini. So I like to have fun. I like to be comedic, be a class clown. I've taken improv lessons. I like to move a lot. I do jujitsu, so I like to play around and uh, test my physical strength and my physical body. I am someone who loves themselves, and because of that I can contribute, and I just love just the variety of life. That's kind of my thing, is I like to do different things. I don't gotta have a schedule or a plan. That's why dog training is so fun to me, because these dogs are changing all the time, and if you just leave them alone they're changing, so you can't even walk away from them. They're a different dog. So I love just the variety of seeing them from day to day and seeing that growth and that progress, and having to iterate for different dogs who maybe one dog loves a toy more than another dog, but it's like, okay, we can work with this and I'll make you like the toy a little bit more, but it's just a different driving force for each dog.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to hire you, learn more about you, reach out to you, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, I am on Instagram, so you can check out my Instagram. It's ND Dog Training. My website is newdirectiondogtraining.com, and I'll leave you with that. And then I have a fun little free online community that you can join, where I share my dream PDF. I shared like one step in it, right? Drive and do land, but there's 4 more steps. Um, well, I'll share that PDF with you, kind of how I came to be and where I kind of focus my mindset. And then, yeah, we can go from there.
Cool, man. Brady, this has been great. Thank you so much for opening up. Thanks for your time. Best of luck with everything.
You too, Joe. You have a nice
Thank you.
day.
You too.